Get ready to dig in and get ready to dig deep, because we're establishing ground rules and getting ready to succeed. Hello everyone, welcome to Fat Dad Slim Dad, parenting episode number 1, Ground Rules for Strategies, the Child's Continuum, Better Practices, and Expectations. So, as you probably know, I have 3-year-old twins, a boy and a girl, and I've been doing things the only way I know how, what I've learned from my parents. Before really trying anything different, i.e. using a different parenting technique or new strategy with my children, there were a number of rules that needed to be in place for success. By understanding each of these ground rules and why they are important, it'll help us with the different strategies that we will try to use in the future. First off, understanding a child's continuum. Now, when I'm talking about the child's continuum, I'm not discussing the continuum concept coined by Jane Laidlaw. In her idea, humans have an innate set of expectations. These expectations, to achieve optimal physical, mental, and emotional development and adaptability, are the continuum she is referring to. Like I said, that's not the continuum we're talking about. Nor is the continuum I am referring to the Canadian sci-fi television series. The continuum I am referring to in my ground rules for strategies is the following. A continuum is a range or series of things, actions, and or events that are different from each other and that exist between two different possibilities. Now, not all of the strategies I'll be describing in the coming weeks and months will alter a child's continuum. However, a good amount can and will. These strategies would be those in which the child is not getting, in their mind, their desired result. Well, what the heck am I talking about? Let's look at it like this. Do you like change? Like drastic change? Well, most people don't. Unless it's something that we know will be a very pleasant experience, most humans are resistant to any type of change. Not just adults. This principle applies for children too. Again, it's most humans. Some of you parents may say, well, little Jimmy has never had a problem adjusting to anything. New surroundings, environment, people, you name it, he's always fine. And if that happens, then that's fantastic for you. Most people have had an unpleasant experience at least once with their child. Whether it be potty training, new foods, adjusting a bedtime routine, going shopping, trying on new clothes, trying to discipline misbehavior, and more. In one way or another, we're trying to change our child's behavior from what they know to something we believe and feel is better for them. And usually it is. Now, this may lead to an undesired result and cause a change in the child's continuum, like screaming, fits, increased stress, getting upset, and the like. Here's the deal. Children, like most humans, are mostly resistant to change. By trying a new technique or correcting a misbehavior, you're actually introducing something different. Now, in their mind, they may see this as a negative or deviation from what they know and are comfortable with, and therefore begin to act out. Their goal is to have this change not occur. Children acting out is their way of trying to get you to quit and go back to what is comfortable for them. When you begin and continue to match these acts like screaming back, getting more upset, and so on, it does one of two things. Either your continuum will alter to match theirs in a retaliation, where over time, your child will expect this to become the new norm and they'll become comfortable with this. They're becoming comfortable with this negative attention. Or it can drive you to a point where you just give up, say screw it, and things go back to quote-unquote normal. If they begin to get upset, you are most likely to get upset. It's an escalating battle. Here's the secret for positive change. You ready? Persistence and patience. Keep your cool. Be loving but strong. If you don't blow up, they won't have that total blow up. Sure, it may seem like it, but it's nowhere near the total blow up that could occur if you go to the same level, if you match that level of intensity. When you see something you want to address or change, bring it up in a calm manner. It may take a week, weeks, and in some extreme cases for very intense events, months. However, eventually the child's continuum levels should come back to a normal level after they've begun to accept the change. Now, I would have been remiss if I didn't put this as the first bit of information I would like to share with you. Most of the information I will be sharing won't be directed specifically to changing events, but in these instances are where I feel I would fail the most. You're doing what's best, don't give up. Part 2. Better practices. I feel like I already listed part of them prior to here, but here they are anyway. Be persistent. If something doesn't seem to be working, for any of these strategies you'll learn, give them at least 2 weeks. They may work, they may not work, but usually it's not an overnight event. Keep that in mind. Be calm. There are times when it's very, very easy to lose your cool. Like when your child decides to poop in the bathtub because they thought it would be funny, or food is thrown across the dinner table at a public restaurant, or one of my recent favorites, the temper tantrum at the playground because they don't want to go home. Keep your cool. By allowing yourself to not go over the top, you are taking full control of the situation. Like I said, what works for one child may, and odds are, won't work for all children. Every child is special, and born with a certain temperament. We'll actually be covering temperament in a later episode, but basically, every child is unique. They will learn in different ways. They will adapt in different ways. They will cope in different ways. They will respond differently to different strategies. But keep at it, and adjust when need be. Last, but not least, is to have realistic expectations. How important this is, in all honesty, we would all love to be parents that have kids that listen 100% of the time and always do the right thing. My twins needed to be taught that it wasn't polite to rehearse their dance number in the middle of a crowded restaurant. Fights break out at dinner. Fights break out over toys. There are tears over nothing. Once, I kid you not, my daughter cried when I told her that she had finished all of the bacon for breakfast one morning. She had 4 strips, and no, she couldn't then have chips and salsa since we didn't have any more bacon. But you know what? They're learning. My kids, right now, are 3. Understanding where they are and having realistic expectations is key. Your 1-year-old will accidentally drop bottles on the carpet. However, your 2, 3, or 4-year-old could take that same cup and throw it off their high chair for attention. Your 2-year-old can wet the bed, but that 4 or 5-year-old may be stubborn and not go to the bathroom before the long car trip, and lo and behold, you get the idea. Depending on their age, some of these things are unintentional and should be treated as such. At a later age, they should be treated differently. Understanding a child's development and developmental milestones will help you, your strategies, and understanding when something is a real problem or just a phase. And in the long run, this will also help you establish proper limits. Limits of a 5-year-old are different from limits of a teenager or an infant. Here's another topic that we're going to be covering in a future episode. Oh, that was a lot of information all at once, huh? However, it is important information. Let's sum up. Kids will be resistant to some of your strategies. It will cause a disruption in their continuum. Know that if you keep persistent, calm, and strong, you will control just about every situation. What works for one child may not work for another. Keep trying and adjust. Make sure your expectations are realistic. Are they? Think about it. Most parents have unrealistic expectations for their children. I know I did. Lastly, and I didn't bring this up before, it's important to know that in some instances, with some children, these strategies just won't work. And in some instances, children may need a lot more help than we can offer them. If you think something's going on with one of your kids, don't be afraid to ask for help. There could be a medical condition, an environmental problem, you never know. But not being silent is the most important thing. Your kids have 2 things going for them. They look up to you, and they're dependent on you. Oh, that was pretty heavy, huh? I'm exhausted. Well, after you get into the swing of things, it really does become clockwork. Before I go, here's a tidbit for the parents out there. Try to keep your own personal expectations realistic, and not just what you expect your children to do. And with that, if you've learned anything or have taken anything away, please like, subscribe, and share. Follow me on Twitter and Facebook at FDSD81. You can also find me on fatsecret.com with the name Fat Dad Slim Dad to track my daily calorie intake, exercise, and weight, but more and most importantly, take care of yourself and your kids.